Welcome in, Leatherneck fans. I'm Brock Wissmiller, being joined by Fighting Leatherneck head football coach Mark Hendrickson, here to talk about the 2010 signing class for your Fighting Leatherneck football team. Coach, this being your inaugural signing class here as head coach for the Leathernecks. Give me first just some initial thoughts about how you feel about your coaching staff did with bringing in these signees.
Well, I couldn't be more pleased with my staff. They literally hit the ground running at the conclusion of our final football game. And they've gone 100 miles an hour, and this past Wednesday, that all paid off on February 3rd. We had 3 outstanding young men that already joined us that we'll talk about in a minute. Our goal was to sign 15 players on that signing date, and they accomplished that. We've got 18 young men signed that we wanted, and we're ready to move on.
Well, as many of our fans know, one point of emphasis for the Leatherneck coaching staff this year was to address the offensive line and bulk up, so to speak, up front and get some experienced players in there, as well as some young players that can get in there and you can build for the future with. Tell us a little bit about how you felt the offensive line needs were addressed in this recruiting process.
Well, you're right. We focus in on the offensive line. That's where we signed the highest number of incoming players at the number of 6. We signed 2 young men from the junior college ranks out of California. Gerald Crisp will join us next fall, and he'll come in as maybe the strongest Leatherneck football player. Just a physically strong young man that we're very glad to have join us. We also have Kyle Caldwell coming in from a junior college, and Kyle played offensive tackle, and so he's very athletic, and yet we see him as having the ability to go either guard or tackle for us. So we're excited about that. We signed 4 offensive linemen out of the high schools. 3 of those young men being from Illinois. Sam Kachanik out of Havana High School is very athletic for a big man. He's an offensive tackle. He's an outstanding basketball player as well. And then Jamal Keaton out of King College Prep in Chicago, another very big man. They're both tackles. And he's also a very athletic big man who moves his feet very well. John Sinich out of Marist High School in Chicago, one of the more physical and aggressive players we saw in all the tape that we evaluated. And then Brian Carroll is from Fort Zumwalt West High School in O'Fallon, Missouri. Also very athletic. Played offensive tackle in high school, has the ability to play guard or tackle for us. So we're really, really glad with those 6 linemen that we signed. Well,
very important, as most of our fans know, to have some athletic linemen, because the trend, particularly in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, is those athletic defensive linemen. So having a big body really hasn't been enough in this conference. You really have to do something more than that. And it looks like we've equally addressed those needs on the defensive line ourselves, bringing in 5 quality recruits, some of which will have the potential to be on the field next year for the Leathernecks. Tell us a little bit about those 5 young men.
And you're right, Brock. Next in line, we signed, the next highest number was defensive lineman. We signed 5. Alex Martinez coming out of junior college, California. He's a true nose guard. He's listed at about 6'1", 300. He's a neat young man that we had a lot of fun with on the visit. But he's a true nose, and we needed at least one transfer as a true nose guard, and we're glad to have Alex. Brent Turner, another junior college ball player for us. Good-sized defensive lineman, has the ability to probably play DN for us or play inside. So we like his versatility. Daryl Johnson, another young man that's transferring in from a junior college. DJ, as we call him, is very explosive, and on tape he makes a lot of things happen. DJ, has a chance to be a very special player for us. And then 2 high school defensive linemen we signed as well. Sam Curran from Middletown, Ohio, is a very strong and physical player for a senior in high school. Delector Durley out of King High School in Detroit. Very quick off the edge, very explosive as well for a high school player. So also very glad to have 5 D linemen to join us.
Staying on that defensive side of the ball, and Tom Casey continuing to kind of bulk up a little bit up front, but then addressing some of the needs as well in the secondary with graduation of Patrick Stoudemire, obviously a huge hole to fill on one of those corners. And to the credit of your coaching staff, they went out and they found themselves some quality defensive backs, again, that could have the potential to play right away in this system, and along with them, I'd be remiss if I didn't include the one linebacker that we did sign as well. So talk a little bit about how we've improved in the secondary, and then in particular on our one linebacker that we did sign.
Yes, 4 defensive backs were signed. Keith Enderline is here now. He was able to join us in January, so he's right now here in the off-season conditioning drills in the weight room. Looks outstanding. He's a very physical player on tape at a safety spot. We signed 2 corners out of the junior colleges of California, one being Ryan Davis. He's a physical corner. Both corners are what we call cover corners, that have one-on-one skills, that we'll need next fall, no question about it. Daryl Hughes, the other corner, is coming in. He's a tall corner. He's over 6 foot tall, and also an outstanding athlete. And then one high school corner we signed from O'Fallon, Illinois, David McDaniel. David might be somebody that plays this coming fall. His skill level is very high, and again, he's an outstanding cornerback, and we can't have enough of them. And then, as you mentioned, we did sign one linebacker, Vince Simpson, out of Detroit area, and he's an outstanding athlete. Was also a great running back in high school. We're going to play him on defense, but we really like those young men that show their skills on both sides of the ball at the high school level.
Well, we see a lot of that out of this group, a lot of two-way type players, and more importantly, a lot of guys coming out of the high school ranks that were parts of successful programs. You look down the list here, and you're seeing high school programs around the state of Illinois and even into Missouri that are in the playoffs and that are contending. So, most importantly, I think guys that are used to winning. Finishing up here with the position breakdowns, position that we've really never seemed to lack a reloading at is our running back spot. When you go back and start listing the names of previous running backs for the Leathernecks, you're talking about some of the top running backs in the league year in and year out, and we've landed a couple dynamite potential players here at the running back position. Let's talk about a couple of those guys, a few of which who are already here on campus and practicing.
Right. We have signed 2 running backs, and they both were able to enroll in school here in January, so they're both with us as well. Carlton Ray out of Michigan State University has 3 years left to play. Carlton started the first 4 games last fall at Michigan State. He's very talented, and so far in drills he's looked outstanding. And then also joining us at the running back position is Bryce Flowers, originally out of high school in California, but Bryce attended last fall the Army Prep School, and Bryce is outstanding as a running back and also as a return specialist, and we're really glad to have both of them along with Keith, with us right now in our off-season drills.
Coach, just to wrap things up here today, we're looking at this recruiting class. You brought in 10 transfers that obviously will have a chance to be on the field in the fall, as well as the freshmen you brought in could easily contend for playing time. But really, when you look at it, how do you feel you and your staff address the needs of what the Leathernecks needed for this upcoming fall in 2010? And how do you feel moving forward right now with this signing class?
Oh, we feel great about the signing class. I want to give a great deal of credit to our staff. They put a lot of time and effort, a lot of miles in the car, a lot of plane trips. They evaluated the tapes very thoroughly, made a lot of great decisions on these young men. A lot of tough decisions were made. And then very importantly, they knew who would fit the mold of being a Leatherneck football player, and that's critical to this program. And I also would give a lot of credit to our current players, because they host these recruits on the official visit weekends, and the current players always do a great job of opening their hearts and speaking from their heart and telling the recruits what they believe about this program and the direction it's headed. And I received a lot of feedback from each and every recruit that they were just convinced by our current players, again, about the excitement, the enthusiasm, and the direction of this program for 2010 in the future.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time you've given us here today to talk about your recruiting class, and fans extend an invitation to be sure to keep up with the Leathernecks as they start the 2010 season this spring with practice here in Macomb. A lot more to come here on GoLeathernecks.com. Thanks for tuning in today, and be sure to check back for more on GoLeathernecks.com.